early as Friday, the first day of games in the minor leagues. And Jeff broke down just how little these players make and still how little they will make in a tweet. Details on pay increases in the minor leagues. Complex league from $4,000 per year to $19,800 per year. Low A, $11,000 from $11,000 to $26,000. High A from $11,000 to $27,300. AA 13,000 and some change to 30,000, and the AAA 17,500 to 35,000 and some change. Players will be paid almost year round aside from a 6-week break in the winter. Now, we want you to compare that with the average salary of the MLB players. This headline right here, MLB average salaries rose 14.8% to a record 4.22 million last season. And that's if these minor league players are lucky to make it to the major leagues. All of them don't make it. This almost 10% of the approximately 7,000 players in the minor leagues make it to the majors, and even fewer reach free agency, making signing a multi-million-dollar major league contract nearly impossible. And according to Forbes, all 30 major league baseball teams are worth $1 billion or more, with the New York Yankees topping the list at being worth $7.1 billion. Benny, I know we're winding down on the show. I think we might even have 2 minutes left, but man, this is something else.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where when it comes to professional athletes, right, whether it be the minor leagues or major leagues, fundamentally, the most important thing to understand is that they are workers. At the core, at the end of the day, it is the relationship that you have to capital that determines your position in society. And baseball players, right, any professional sports players, they are the workers that are actually creating the value for these companies. And fundamentally, so long as there is that relationship between employer and employee there, you will have the owners of these baseball teams that want to exploit the players as much as they possibly can. And the players who are actually generating the real value will have to organize amongst themselves in order to demand living wages, fair wages, and all those things. And that is why even when you see like professional sports players like fighting for unions, you should support them and not make the mistake of assuming that, because some of them are making millions of dollars, it means that they're all just like, these like evil millionaires or whatever.
Yeah, true that. And I mean, I did not know how in dire straits the minor league players were. I mean, to not even make minimum wage is really a stain. It is a blot. And they are yet another example, as you are laying out. It is about the relationship between the employee and the employer. And in this country, we are really at an immoral level. So whether you be in the minor leagues or whether you be somebody that's serving in a restaurant making sub minimum wage, everybody deserves to make a living wage at what they do in this country, and we must do a better job. Well, that is our time for today. We want to thank you so much for joining us, Benny. It was so great to have you back on the show. We cannot wait to have you back again. And to each and every one of you, thank you for joining us as you usually do. Make sure you phone a friend or a friend of me. Let them know one of the best hours of their day is spending it with us on Unbossed. And you can also get us on video on demand. So make sure you do that. Now, you know what I want you to do about this time. I want you to keep the faith, always keep the faith. And with that faith, we need a little fight until next time.
Welcome, friends. Welcome, family. What's up, Pop? Welcome to the watch list. It's not Big News Wednesday, as you might hear sometimes when things go down in the news. It's still only Tuesday, yet still big news. I mean, we have damn near OJ-style slow speed chases on freeways. We have cameras, aerial cameras above SUVs. We've got people waiting to see a glimpse of one guy walking into court to get arrested like millions and millions of people have in the past. But it's still big news. Therefore, we start with this.
We will, I believe, see the mugshot. And as I predicted on this podcast already, I think you'll see Trump in a beautiful dark blue suit, a crisp white shirt, and a red, shiny Donald J. Trump tie, smiling ear to ear in the mugshot.
Ben Gleib joins me today, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about the developments of today. Ben Gleib is a comedian. Also, you'll find him all over the TYT network, of course. Check out his rundown videos as well. Good to see you, brother. Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, mug shots. Are you ready?
I have been preparing for this moment my whole life, so I'm pretty excited about it. A little bit of justice, at least the tinges of justice, heading toward a man that has been very reckless with all of our lives, our country, our livelihood, our peace of mind, and peace in general. So I'm pretty excited about the fact that he's finally having to face some kind of music, even though he will raise money off of it. Even though he will fine off of it.
According to him, he already has a few million, but how much can you believe the guy who's a liar? But still, Ted Cruz found a way to talk about the crisp dark suit, the clean white laundered shirt, and the red Donald J. Trump tie, and also the Home Depot knee pads on Ted Cruz's knees as he drops down to lick shoes and kiss ass.
Yep, and do other stuff, because it's amazing. Somehow Trump engenders an amount of kiss ass loyalty to him, to people that he has just mistreated constantly. They're all Stockholm syndromed up to the nines. It is pretty incredible to see. He's gonna have a crisp suit and a smile ear to ear. He thinks my wife is ugly and my dad killed JFK, and I love him for it.
Loves him for it. I wonder if he's giving $47 to this particular email that's going on, considering you said that there's fundraising happening. You guys, let's go to this graphic, please. Donald J. Trump, or at least his team, is sending out this email. It came pretty quickly, and they're waiting for this mugshot, which, by the way, as was pointed out by Maggie Haberman here, Trump was fingerprinted. Is what a person familiar with events said, but not mugshotted, which someone said it's more like mugshot. But still, fundraising in his name aren't wasting this opportunity, because they made their own mugshot and put on this fake T-shirt that hasn't been created yet, and they wanted you to give $47 or more. They said, so you can win in 2024.
Yeah,
it just kind of doesn't matter. They're just gonna find a way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a smart decision to have not mugshot him, even though I would have loved to see it, because they for sure would have turned it into merch instantly. It would have been an iconic image. So it's kind of like the decision to not release the photos of bin Laden after we killed him, because it would just be used as propaganda. But we live in an age not only of Photoshop, but AI level beautiful Photoshop. So may as well done the mugshot, because it's going to be out there anyway.
Well, I'm sure Ted will create his own AI version of his savior, Donald Trump, and he'll make sure he removes the ketchup stains off of that crisp white shirt. By the way, let's look at
Well, no, in his mugshot, Trump's going to be naked from the head down.
Well, from the head down only. Head up, he's going to
still keep the makeup and the fake hair.
He did show up, though, in case folks did want to see some of those images. He did show up. He threw a bit of a power fist to everyone. Thank you to all the people who hate me out there. Because, again, he feels like he's benefiting from this. Next one, he walks into the courtroom itself. A few people asked him some questions. Scowls ensued. So, Ted was right with the blue suit and the white shirt and red tie. But he was definitely wrong about the big smile from ear to ear. A beautiful moment for one Donald Trump. So let's go ahead and get to some of the real news that happened today, because this is real news and everyone's talking about it. But as we've been seeing, I've been on one, Ben. It's been a stretch of frustrating developments after 6 more folks were murdered in that Tennessee school. We're still fighting about it, specifically in the state of Tennessee, of course. And this is what's now going down as a development from that. Let's start here, you guys. Oh, damn. They're fighting in the Tennessee House. There you see a couple of representatives there getting into a scuffle off the top. And then also the second aspect between one representative, Justin Jones, and another, Justin Lafferty, then got into it afterwards. Now, what is it that they were fighting over? Let's let Justin Jones explain.
So what's going on here in Tennessee today?
So 3 of us lawmakers who stood with our constituents demanding that they take action, and here the thousands of people gathered on Thursday talking about the crisis of mass shootings. We've been kicked off our committees as representatives elected by our constituents. Each of us represents 78,000 people, and our people are being silenced because they're kicking us off committees. They're threatening to take a vote to expel us today. Our member ID badges have been shut off. Our representative ID badges have been shut off. And this is not what democracy looks like. You know, we are elected to serve our constituents, and I'm the youngest Democratic lawmaker here, the most diverse district, and by shutting me down, they're shutting down the voice of my constituents. So this is one of my constituents, Ms. Brooks, and so whose family was hit and you know, a victim of the Waffle House mass shooting, and so we're here to speak for them. And they wouldn't even let us speak for our people. They wouldn't let us talk on the floor. They shut our microphones off. They shut our voting machines off. We couldn't even talk about the issue. And so when we went to the well to force the issue, they called us insurrectionists and are now trying to expel us from the legislature.
He put it all together. As they said, they were trying to talk about this gun issue consistently. And as we saw from last week, I was talking about this extensively, pointing out many of these Tennessee lawmakers that want nothing to do with it, and also national lawmakers as well who were dodging the issue. In fact, some directly saying, you know what, F this, we don't care. And then when they tried to talk about it, apparently they were cut off, shut down, and kept from speaking, even presenting things as far as solutions. So they took to the floor in a bit of a protest with these supporters, and that's when the stuff hit the fan. Here's still Justin talking with some of those constituents behind him that were protesting.
But they're going to have to answer to all these people in here. This is about people power, and that the voice of the people will know better be silent no matter what happens. This is what democracy looks like. This is why we were speaking up for the people, and all these people are demanding us to act. This is who we're standing with today. All these children and parents who are saying that they don't want our kids to be killed, you know, in their elementary schools by preventable deaths because we have this proliferation of guns. This is what democracy looks like.
So to show you guys the difference between the two sides here, you have protesters there wanting their lives saved, many young folks, and young adults there chanting about how they would like some kind of change with their government. The folks that could be possibly making laws to prevent more of these. And there's Representative Jones standing in front of them. Let's juxtapose that with one representative, William Lambert. He's a Republican. He went out to speak to some of the protesters in the hallway. And you may not be surprised as the things that he said to them, directly to them. Watch.
So you're not going to like my answer. And look, I'm going to say that straight up. It's not about this one gun. If there is a firearm out there that you're comfortable being shot with, please show me which one it is.
There's none.
There's not. Right there. Every single gun in the hands of a crazy person, a deranged person, a convicted felon, every single weapon out there
can be more scared when somebody's walking on the street with a giant ass gun for no reason. Like, nobody's going to do good with that gun.
I understand that.
The goal is not to.
But it's not, you could ban that specific gun, and you are going to do almost nothing to improve y'all's safety. I'm sorry, that's a fact.
Ben, is that the fact? You can ban that one specific gun, and there's nothing you can do about improving your safety. It's not like we've seen this before. Anyone else has ever done anything that's worked, huh?
Yeah, it's great to be able to pick and choose your facts when making Republican arguments. It seems like their favorite thing to do. I think it arouses them sexually. I mean, it's very confusing why they refuse to acknowledge obvious facts. So one of them is that AR-15s, assault-style rifles, are the ones that are obviously used most often. Why is it? Not just because they look big and bad, because they have huge capacity magazines. They are very quick to reload. You don't need to reload them very often. You don't need to stop to reload them. They have just the ability to mow down a huge amount of people in a short amount of time. So obviously you get rid of that gun. Yes, you could still be shot by a gun, but you won't be shot by the most deadly gun. There's better chance to take out the shooter. He knows that. He's being disingenuous. But also his point is absolutely correct when he says nothing's going to, if you take away that gun, you can still be shot by a deranged person, a crazy person, a criminal that has a gun. Right. Which is why he's in support of universal background checks that have no loopholes, that register private sales. Oh, but of course he's not in favor of that, nor is any Republican, because all they care about is money in their pockets and kissing ass to the NRA, and they do not care about saving people's lives. Otherwise, that would be easy. Long waiting periods would be easy. Why do you need a gun right now? If you need a gun right now, it's the perfect time to cool down for a week. You still want your gun, you can get it.
Well, Ben, what about every time that I can sense when someone's going to break into my house one night and I need that gun to be prepared to protect my family? You know, because that's how break-ins work. They're planned. And if I need the gun right now, I know that a break-in is coming right now.
Exactly right. Exactly. And I mean, if there's any law that they should be fighting against, it's the one that requires you to keep your gun locked separately from your ammunition. Maybe I could bend on that one. If you got a home weapon, you should be allowed to keep it loaded, in my opinion, in your gun safe, so you can pull it out and actually defend yourself in a home invasion. And then maybe they could compromise on making sure crazy people and criminals don't get guns. How's that?
Well, I mean, you know, the best way to defend your home is to spray it with an AR-15 as soon as you hear someone at the door. It's just how these things are supposed to work. I mean, America.
Well, JR, because then you get a bunch of peepholes and you can kind of track the movements of the criminal.
You always know what's going on. It's an improvement. It's a house improvement. May even increase the value. By the way, in case you guys did miss it, though, as of last week, these protests were happening. These folks, there was 3 specific lawmakers there in Tennessee that are getting pushed out. I want to give all their names. I already mentioned Justin Jones there, but I want to talk about all 3 of them. Because on Thursday, these 3 House Democrats approached the podium between bills without being recognized. This is the problem that Republicans had, which is a breach of chamber rules. With a bullhorn, Representatives Gloria Johnson of Knoxville, Justin Jones, as we saw, of Nashville, and Justin Pearson of Memphis, they led protesters in the galleries in several chants calling for gun reform, you know, using the constituents' power behind them, hoping that maybe representatives would think, oh, I represent constituents, not just the gun lobby. And that didn't work, because then what happened was House Republicans formally introduced 3 expulsion resolutions at the end of Monday's evening's session. And those resolutions claim that those 3, quote, did knowingly and intentionally bring disorder and dishonor to the House of Representatives through their individual and collective actions. Apparently, there was no dishonor brought to the House, the Tennessee House there, from their lack of action, or from them telling constituents and children that have been murdered and victims and families of those victims, we don't care, we're not going to do anything. I don't know. Only thing I can do is make things worse from my position, which to me is a campaign ad saying, please vote me out. Maybe that'll get there, but until then, they're looking to murder, or at least watch and think and pray as more children are murdered. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, why would they want to hear from the people, though? You know what I mean? They're there to represent the people. It's like, we got it from here. We don't need to hear the actual people who are actually angry about actually being killed due to the actual lack of gun laws protecting people. And so you understand, as soon as lawmakers want to express frustration and want to encourage the regular citizens to speak their mind, that Republicans would want to shut that down. That's reasonable, because they're corrupt.
100%. There was no fireworks as expected inside of the court room where Donald Trump was finally showed up on Tuesday, but there was definitely some outside. Let's go look at what happened.
Hold on. George! Are you guys going to... This isn't about me. You guys focus on the story. You're not trying to flaunt me.
What's the story?
You're trying to trample me.
What's the story?
That's the story.
I'm here in support of the president.
Congressman, all the cameras are back here. George, are you finally bringing legitimacy to this process? George, we want to hear you about your volleyball career, George. George, speak up. We want to hear the legitimacy you're bringing to this process.
Come on, guys. Come on. That's enough.
George, are you worried that this is becoming a circus? George, talk about your time running a circus. George, thank you for your service.
Tell us about your Nobel Prize.
The 46th President of the United States.
George Santos, for some reason, showed up to these protests outside of the arraignment for Donald Trump, and he expected a different kind of response from reporters. I believe that one specific one yelling the most humorous things there was Jordan Klepper, I believe. Don't quote me, but I believe so.
It was.
But after he was running through this whole thing, he then finally got run off, and for some reason he was surprised that they were so mean to him in New York. Watch.
I'm doing nothing. I'm leaving.
Are you coming back at all later today?
No, because you guys make it unbearable to be here.
Why are you here then?
I came to support the president, but...
No, I'm leaving. As a matter of fact, he looked like he was leaving straight into that brick wall. I didn't see anything else he could actually walk into. Do we have that again? I just want to see. There it is on the back end as he's headed to the wall. No, I'm leaving. Look up, George. Look up. He's following the blue line for some reason. I don't know. But still, it was Jordan Klepper, the Daily Show, that was on there, and he asked a little bit more. Let's see him actually get some of these questions in.
Have you recently got a law degree? Is that why you're here?
Congressman Santos, what's your message here today?
The message is to support the president, that's all. Are you bringing legitimacy to this process finally? Are you
What do you think this indictment needs?
Talk to me about your law degrees. Which law degrees have you gotten that you are bringing here to this? As first president.
So he wasn't happy. This is more of the scrum that was going down. But he did tweet afterwards because the whole point about this is to promote himself. It just isn't working that well. This is what he said. Say what you want. I showed up. What about you? Well, that's the point. Why did you show up? It's not like people said, I'm so jealous I didn't get harassed like George Santos did when he showed up and acted like he's a legitimate person who's told us his legitimate life before he stepped into office. But still, he had more to say. Because he pointed out why he was there. I stood by Trump from the moment he came down the escalator. I voted for him in the primary and twice for president in the general elections. Today I showed up because that's what real supporters do. They show up for your best and your worst days. He's there through thick. He's there through thin. He retweets his aunt on Facebook who posts things like this. If you don't love me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. George Santos, he's inspiring us all of us, Ben.
Yes, I saw recently on social a variation on that phrase. I've been thinking about it for a long time myself. If you don't love me at my worst, I'm sorry. Please don't leave me. Is really more the way somebody should be looking at it. It's incredible because George Santos was there. I know in a minute you're going to show. Also, Marjorie Taylor Greene was there. And you got to be proud as a former president that the only two lawmakers who show up is a compulsive liar and a QAnon conspiracy theorist. That's who you got on your side. Bravo, Donnie. Way to get it done. You know, and also Santos just likes going to these events. You don't even know that it's for sure to support Trump. He was there when the Liberty Bell cracked. He was the one who cracked it, from my understanding. He's the one who actually killed JFK and JFK Jr. He was the airplane in which they were riding. The guy has been a long time, and the reason why he wasn't afraid of walking through that brick wall is because obviously George Santos and Santos alone can walk through brick walls. He can reconstitute himself into vapors and come right back as he gets the vapors when he's entering Brazilian drag shows. So it's quite a life he's led.
It's amazing. And actually, you know what? I, for one, Ben, I don't trust this guy because you know what? He told us once he's Alvin Bragg's twin brother. So I'm just saying the family tree doesn't get that much further. They're all on the same vein. They're all paid by George Soros.
Which, by the way, I would like to try to popularize my nickname for DA Alvin Bragg. I like to call him Da Bragg.
Oh, he's got to get he's going to drop an album,
100%.
Make some money off of this whole thing if he was only Donald Trump. Let's take a quick break, you guys. We'll come back, a few of your comments, but also, yes, Ben did point out there's one more rogue figure outside in those protests, and it was fun to also watch her. Marge was out there hanging out, and her fate there was about the same as Santos's. But then after that, we're going to move on to more things. There's things going down with the response to that pedophile talk that Marge had on 60 Minutes that was happening on Sunday, but the fallout is kind of enveloping everything, and I'm not sure she really wanted to shake that hornet's nest. We're going to get to some actual reality behind what she's talking about when we come back.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
What's happening? I'm Dr. Rashad Ritchie, host of Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Here's the bottom line. I play no games about policy, period. Too many people's lives are at stake. So here's what I do. I challenge conservative ideology that hinders the growth of this country. I make sure we place our facts in proper context, and I have no problem debating anyone on a position that I have. Progressives have the ideas to change the world, but when you really look at it, progressives have always changed this world for the better. I want you to tune into my new show, Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey, right here on the TYT Network, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time. I'll see you there.
Everything that we've accomplished over the years is because of our members, who've allowed us to remain independent of corporate interests and reach 20 million followers. Now is the time to bring as many people into the progressive movement as possible. We're inviting you to be the change and help bring a community-powered progressive change machine to life. Details are at tyt.com/change. If you're a member, thank you. We need you to remain so. If you're one of the thousands of viewers out there who's not a member yet, the time has come for you to join now. We need you more than ever. tyt.com/change.
Watch list, you guys. If you got up to get some water, I hope you're back. Ben's got some news. What's going on, Ben? What the hell have you been up to, brother?
I mean, I've been up to a lot of stuff. You could have seen me last night at the Comedy Store with David Spade, Tiffany Haddish, Mark Maron, Eliza Schlesinger, Becky Robinson, but you didn't. You weren't there. You weren't there. The show was sold out, though we did okay. But you can see my upcoming stand-up virtual show globally on April 29th at nowherecomedy.com. You can get the ticket. My monthly show, Gleib Off the Top, Crowd Work and Improvised Madness. It's a virtual town. We escape from the real world, create our own town called Mad Town. You could join the Mad Ones, and it's a weird improvised show. I take questions from the audience. We elect a mayor. You could have a little bit of power in a weird, silly comedy town. You can get tickets right now at bengleib.com or nowherecomedy.com and enjoy it from your home. We see you. We hear you. It's a real blast.
Can't sell those out. Everyone is welcome. It's as large as the world itself.
Well, it's a 1,000 cap, but we're not going to hit it.
Oh, my bad. I guess you can. Really fast, you guys. I just want to read this YouTube super chat. Virginia Thomas, aka the Ice Dragon, maybe ice cold veins dragon. You can also be smothered with a pillow, she says, by your spouse or significant other. I wouldn't do it. Just thoughts. As that representative in Tennessee said, you can die by all kinds of ways. Yes, there are many ways to die, and we try to prevent those things. You know, seatbelts, drunk driving, child restraints, those types of things. Laws. All right, let's go ahead and jump to more things. Marge was out front too.
States of America, and the government has been weaponized against him. I'm here to protest and use my voice and take a stand. Every American should take a stand. This is what happens in communist countries, not the United States of America. We have to take a stand against the injustice, the corruption, and the communist Democrats who are taking our legal code and twisting it, manipulating it, and perverting it into something it was never meant to be. Donald J. Trump is innocent. This is election interference. The DA, Alvin Bragg, is nothing but a George Soros-funded tool. He is a tool for the Democrats to try to hijack the 2024 presidential election.
Marge from Georgia showed up at the event outside of Trump's arraignment there and decided to recite the same Republican talking points. And for some reason, she was just as surprised as George Santos was when the crowd wanted nothing to do with what she was up to. Let's watch how that ended.
President Trump is joining some of the most incredible people in history being arrested today. Nelson Mandela was arrested, served time in prison. Jesus was arrested and murdered by the Roman government. There have been many people throughout history that have been arrested and persecuted by radical, corrupt governments. And it's beginning today in New York City. And I just can't believe it's happening, but I'll always support him. He's done nothing wrong.
She can't figure it out. This after she got run off. She jumped back into her SUV and sat down with RSBN correspondent there, Brian Glenn, to talk about how Trump is Jesus. Because, that makes sense. And that's one of those things that should be accepted as far as our leaders in our American democracy. That whole thing where we separate church and state and we don't compare our leaders to deities that certain folks believe in. Weird. Who cares? It's just America. Still, though, she sat in the SUV and decided to moan and groan a little bit about everything that went down. And let's keep it real. She was there to promote herself. And then when she got run off, she goes, well, maybe we can just do what I was going to say outside before they start blowing whistles and yelling at me and drowning me out. Maybe then I can talk, because this is what's crazy about this whole thing that she showed up. A couple weeks ago, then, when Trump said he's going to be indicted on that one particular Tuesday that didn't pan out, this is what Marge had to say on Twitter. We don't need to protest about the communists, Democrats, doesn't make any sense, planning to arrest President Trump and the political weaponization of our government and election interference. She said we don't need to protest. The rest, she said, is the rest of that normal BS. But at the end of the march today, on Tuesday, she says this: I'm going to New York on Tuesday. I'm sorry, on Monday, when she thought it was about to happen. I'm going to New York on Tuesday. We must protest the unconstitutional witch hunt. I think what changed, Ben, was her clarity on whether or not she can make some money off of this, which I think she's probably doing right now.
Yeah, she didn't know her 60 Minutes promo piece was going to drop just 2 days earlier. So she's like, wait a minute, I mistakenly wrote with my fingers, we don't need to protest. I meant we must protest, of course. And of course, Donald Trump is like Jesus and he did nothing wrong. They always take it so far because they're so anti-intellectual and their brains are so miniature that they don't just say this isn't a crime worthy of prosecuting. They say he did nothing wrong. They're literally saying, go ahead, cheat on your wife, lie about it, pay hush money payments, use campaign funds, cover it up, try to hide stuff from the American people before an election. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's so blatantly stupid, and millions of blatantly stupid people will be like, oh, yup, Marge said it.
And then, by the way, they'll say, we need to stop with this hyper-polarized political world where we're looking to arrest our political opponents, lock them up in the same breath. It's just how these things work. It's always, the law is for you and me. It would not the guy that I support. We're above the law. We don't like a two-tier justice system in this country, but we do like for certain people to avoid justice in this country. It doesn't have to make sense. But you know what? Let's move on now to the last aspect of Miss Marge and her after her appearance on 60 Minutes when she decided to go on the pedophile rants. She's trying to capitalize off of the attention. This is what happened afterwards.
I'm sorry it takes so long, guys, but everyone knows I like kids better than people. How are you, baby? How are you, baby? I want to stay. Can I stay? I don't want to go. Kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Taxes for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for America.
And we're committed to advancing transgender equality.
No boys in the girlfriend.
You need to be arrested!
Stop cutting us off!
In the classroom, on the playing field,
Identities don't play sports.
everywhere, simply everywhere.
Protect our children or get out of the way.
I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future.
These are not somebody else's children. They're all our.
I think our date's off there. It said November 8th of 22. That's in the past, lady. Still, Marge released that I think it was pretty badly made video there, just looking to convince only the dumbest people in the country that, oh, look at this proof of pedophiles in the White House. Whether she knows that or not, it doesn't matter, because she's continuing to try and to capitalize off of that attention that she got. And she also, of course, tweeted it out and said, I'll say it again, Democrats are the party of pedophiles. I'm glad you said so, Marge, because we get a chance to look into that a little bit more. But before we get to that, though, there was a little bit of pushback from the Republican Accountability Project. They were tired of these narratives going around, and they said, as far as Marge ducking and dodging all these questions about who she really is, they decided to point out who she really is. Watch.
The political polarization that's happened in our country, I don't know how we got this way.
Nancy Pelosi is guilty of treason. It's a crime punishable by death.
You can't allow it to just transfer power peacefully and allow Joe Biden to become our president. I don't like the way the media have portrayed me. They say Marjorie's crazy. It's odd there's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon. They call me racist. I know a ton of white people that are as lazy and sorry, probably worse than black people I know. They call me anti-Semitic.
Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene speculated that the fire, which killed 85 people, was sparked by a, quote, Jewish space laser.
Marjorie's extreme. Q is a patriot. Marjorie's a right-wing extremist.
Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared at a white nationalist event.
I'm not calling anyone names.
Murkowski, Collins, and Mitt Romney are pro-pedophile.
You want to bring the Republican Party closer to your views. You want to bring the country closer to your views.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts here, Ben? We got more, but I'm curious, bro.
Well, that is good editing. That was a great example of showing evidence of somebody being the opposite of what they say. The Joe Biden clip, wow, they really got him red-handed being nice to kids. Holding a kid's shoulder and pulling his mask down and going peekaboo. That's wholly inappropriate. How dare he do that? It's being cute with children, but Marjorie actively pushing an insurrection, actively stopping the peaceful transfer of power in our country, totally fine. And shame on Leslie Stahl and 60 Minutes for doing, even though it called her out a little bit, doing essentially a puff piece on her, not showing her those clips, not having a litany of her most incendiary statements, not being able to immediately back up her or contradict her laudatory statements about herself with actual proof like this one short clip did. Normally 60 Minutes is so diligent, but you're going to platform a monster. You make them out to be a monster and put them on a record and get them to account. You do not dare let her do the classic walk and talk with her. And here's my 10-acre ranch and everything's fine. Go.
A little bit of legitimizing that was going on for that entire time. But I do want to go to this her thought about this pedophilia because they're really obsessive about it. But there's good news, you guys. I got receipts. Republicans like to talk about pedophilia and how Democrats are the party of pedophiles. I'd like to submit that pedophiles come in all shapes, sizes, forms, and political leanings, just because that's a normal thing to realize, but we stopped realizing normal things a long time ago. But since we're on this subject of trying to make it a partisan issue, let's go ahead and go down that road. Here's Anton Lazaro, a Republican donor recently convicted of child sex trafficking. I heard that they have a problem with sex trafficking and all kinds. So there's a bunch of Republicans that hung out with this child sex trafficker, Anton Lazaro. I wonder what they want to say about it. Donald Trump was there. Mike Pence is with him. Look, Tucker Carlson and all these fools hanging out with one Anton Lazaro. Are they all trafficking the same children? If they were Democrats, Marjorie Taylor Greene would think so. We're not done. We got more. How about Dennis Hastert? I remember this old pedophile because look at this guy. He was the one Republican, and he was lying about how he was, first off, the longest serving Republican House Speaker in history. He went to prison for abusing children. He's had better days, but still, I guess he's a Democrat, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's even more. Speaking of more, Roy Moore. His campaign went down in flames out in Alabama after then he was accused of his pedophilia behavior, and all of his old 15-year-old girlfriends when he was 27 came out and they talked about this and on and on and on. And guess who's still stuck by him? That same Republican Party that somehow has a problem with pedophilia and people trafficking children. Yo, I've got even more. The Surfs pointed this out. Former Turning Points USA Youth Events Coordinator Adam Hagman sentenced to 66 months in child pornography case. TPUSA was co-founded by Charlie Kirk, and this Charlie Kirk hanging out with Hagman in 2017. Weird how that works. But you know what? I guess Charlie Kirk is a Democrat. I'm ready to move on if you are, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, the hypocrisy speaks for itself with these guys. They protest too much. They accuse the other side of what they are comfortable with and have empowered for years. So they can go find a long walk off a short bridge.
It's a flex that I'm not sure if they want to keep pushing, because there's tons of these cases, from law enforcement to priests to pastors to all these leaders that they say they're all about. There's folks from all walks that do this to children, and it's about time we just start paying attention to it and protecting children, and not trying to make it a partisan political attack part of their lives. Because you know what that does? That downgrades the severity of it. They actually, ironically, don't give a damn about who abuses children. They do care about Bud Lights, though, especially when this happens.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch.
F Bud Light and F Anheuser-Busch. I'm going to take a gun and shoot up some cases of beer. F them, because I just spent $25 on 18 cases of Bud Light. That crappy beer. Anyways, there's different reasons to dislike Bud Light, but apparently conservatives are in an uproar over this. Watch.
This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light.
Something doesn't compute there. I'm sorry, it's just a little bit odd. It wasn't an April Fool's joke, though. It is Bud Light's new influencer campaign featuring transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney. I don't think she probably ever tasted Bud Light before this, John. I think it's a paycheck, in my opinion. But you see it right there. Folks, you can go out and get one today. It is on sale. The promotion comes around the same time as the White House also promoted their Trans Day of Visibility last week.
Wrong, Newsmax. You can't go get that can. That can was specifically sent to Dylan Mulvaney there so that she could be one of these brand ambassadors, because those types of things happen, especially when they're looking to sell. You know, quick lesson. When companies want to make more money, they try to expand the base of folks that buy their product. If more people buy it, then it's more money, and then they fulfill their whole purpose, which is to make more money. But still, it's actually about being woke, is what conservatives want you to believe. Here's what's going on, because as this was going down, Anheuser-Busch had to then try and defend themselves and try and point out, here's some elementary lessons for you. This is what they said. Anheuser-Busch works with hundreds of influencers across our brands as one of many ways to authentically connect with audiences across various demographics and passion points. In other words, we're looking to make some money. From time to time, we produce commemorative cans for fans and for brand influencers like Dylan Mulvaney. This commemorative can was a gift to celebrate a personal milestone and is not for sale to the general public. That's what the spokesperson told Fox News. Also, the statement came after many people mocked Bud Light over this partnership. Conservative commentator John Cardillo wrote, "Who the hell at Bud Light thought it was a good idea to make a grown man who dresses like little girls their new spokesperson? Brands have to stop listening to their woke creative teams and get in touch with their consumer demographics." Well, their consumer demographics are now doing things like posting on these clout pieces on Twitters and Instagrams and TikToks about how they're shooting up and throwing away their Bud Lights. Again, after purchasing Bud Lights. I haven't seen them in any stores destroying Bud Lights, because they'll get arrested for doing such a thing. There's actually more outcry from this, but there's already enough to go off of here now. Gleib, what's up?
Well, first of all, I only take issue with one thing you said. Bud Light is my favorite beer, hands down. I think a lot of people hate on it. I think it's got a crisp, delicious taste. I like light American beers, and Bud Light is the only one that doesn't have high fructose corn syrup in it. So I've been a fan for a long time. That said,
it also doesn't have any beer in it, Gleib, but it's still good. Continue.
I mean, that's a great point. I might have, I don't know. I get a little buzz going off it, to be honest with you. I get a Buzz Light. But the point is, they, as you said, do this with hundreds of influencers. They've not made Dylan Mulvaney the spokesperson for Bud Light or the face of Bud Light. That can is not distributed anywhere. And so it's a perfect example of how the right uses any chance they can to divide our country and create outrage, fake outrage, for no reason. You have to understand the very large difference between making somebody your sole spokesperson or sending free Bud Lights and some influencer money to hundreds of people who can expose your brand to other people. That people that are protesting this, like the idiotic Kid Rock, is literally saying, we don't think transgender people should even be one of hundreds of people who get to enjoy and support and promote our beer. That is such a discriminatory, insane thing. Obviously, it would be discriminatory to even be against a trans person being the sole spokesperson. But to have an issue with it being one of hundreds is just, and then pretend in the media as though it's the sole spokesperson, it proves just how much they want to divide people with fake BS.
The sole purpose is to attack other folks, which is why I'm glad you said that. Because one, Nick Adams, which nobody's going to convince me this guy is not a parody account and he's just living a deep state of this parody account. It's who he is. It's become this character he's become. He's like the Joker. He dressed up for a minute and now it has enveloped him and it makes him money. Ironically, Bud Light is trying to make more money, and these folks are going after her also by posting things like this.
This is a solemn day in alpha male history. I am here in Dallas outside the Anheuser-Busch facility, and I cannot believe the betrayal that we are currently witnessing. This is Judas-level betrayal of the alpha male community, and just a week before Easter. I expect woke behavior from Starbucks. I expect woke behavior from Mars, but never ever in a million years would I have thought that a company that has marketed American flags on their cans of beer, masculine horses, all of that kind of stuff, that they would betray us in such an incredible way.
He's joking, you guys. He's 100. He's joking. He stands in front of the Budweiser plant and talks about how this masculine company, they're supposed to go for men only, has decided to have this one brand ambassador and influencer there attached to their name. And by the way, this is my favorite part because I was just curious, Ben. I was just curious. He said these masculine, the masculine
Horses.
Clydesdale horses.
Masculine horses.
You know what I looked up? Here's the requirements for being a Budweiser Clydesdale. Not every Clydesdale is cut out for the job. Being a Budweiser Clydesdale horse comes with a strict set of requirements, you guys. To be considered to be a masculine horse for Budweiser, a horse must be a gelding. Do you guys know what that is? Do you know what that is? It's a neutered male. An alpha, big-time male horse that's been neutered.
Much like Nick Adams, who clearly, that's why he has to wear shorts. He's still airing out to recover from the surgery, as far as I heard through the grapevine. Masculine horses, again, also proving just how stupid these culture wars that the right manufacturers are. The argument they literally there are making is that a horse should be supported endorsing Bud Light more than a human being should. They would rather have somebody across a different or something across a different species is fine with them, but not a human being who is a little different than they are. And if he thinks that Dylan Mulvaney is dressing up as a woman, this dude is dressing up not even as an alpha male, but he's pretending to be an alpha male with the worst fashion sense in the world, with these horrible polo shirts that don't fit him, with his man boobs sticking out and his little cargo shorts. It's an embarrassment and it's insane. It's very similar to the jump of when all the Republicans in the country bought so easily into, or so many Republicans bought so easily into the anti-Democrat propaganda. They're showing up at rallies saying, we'd rather be Russian than Democrats.
Yeah.
So you jump country for your adversaries. You jump species for your culture wars. And that is the reality that we live in when you got a bunch of people that are not of the sharpest intelligence and are easily manipulated by a bunch of malintended, bad faith actors that see that and capitalize on it. It's a betrayal of the highest order.
He expects this from Mars, and he expects Starbucks. That's who he expects it from. But he dresses
but
like...
not Anheuser-Busch, which is not how it's ever been said, even in Australian.
Did you watch the NCAA tournament there, Gleib? Because we've got post championship news that you
I
won't
missed
be
it, so
surprised
please fill
by.
me in.
Oh, no. UConn won, and UConn students and fans lost. Let's watch.
One more.
That was serious. As UConn fans and supporters and students won, they didn't play basketball, but their team that they like to represent and cheer for won the national championship. Light posts came down, cars were flipped, which we'll get to those as well. But that one man was knocked out completely cold. Hopefully not anything worse, but we can at least report from some of the findings here. No one died this night, despite what that looks like. Several people were injured and others were also arrested, though. 15 exact were arrested and 16 were hospitalized. But other students did other things, like, the normal things of breaking into the buildings at their school to, I don't know, watch.
Here we go.
Are these White Lives Matter protests? Sorry, I was thinking about not saying it, but come on. So they break into buildings, flipping cars and celebrating. Somehow this is fun as they've gone through this process really fast. As I pointed out, 15 people were actually arrested, mainly students. And those other 16 were transported to area hospitals for various injuries. None of them considered to be significant, so they got lucky. I'm not sure how much police presence was there, but if they were around, they might have started cracking a few skulls. Also, by midnight, though, those fans that smashed out windows, tipped that van over, and brought down lampposts. And on one road that passed by the UConn Student Union building, at least a half a dozen streetlights were torn down to the ground. Because, nothing says we won like, look at how destroyed our campus now is the next day. But you know what? They played against San Diego State University, and those students at least wanted to get a glimpse of the game. This vandalism at least had an endpoint of, I want to watch my team lose. Let's see how this went down. Yo, Ben, I went to a school that was high on crazed sports fans and doing things like this. It's easy to find yourself away from them, though. I'm not sure if folks really get that anymore. And I hate to, I'm an old man now, and I call them kids. But these 20-somethings are doing things like this.
I mean, I love the uniquely American celebratory ritual of something great happened for the team we love. Let's destroy the city. It's incredible. How does the thought process enter someone's brain to go from, we are so happy, we don't want these streets to be lit anymore as well as they normally are. Let's tear down the lampposts and be able to walk in darkness here forward. It's unreal. It looked like they even took one of those lampposts and used that as the battering ram to get into that student union. I'm surprised they even showed the restraint and didn't use the guy that was knocked out by the lamp and use him to battery ram their way in. They at least are maturing and growing in that very small way. The guy shouting at the van being turned over, yeah, like he just literally lost his virginity or had his bar mitzvah or something, not happening the same day, hopefully, at the sight of 9 or 10 people pushing over a car, which means, ooh, each of you were able to push 80 pounds. What is it?
It's like 6 guys turning a van on its side. Yo, we did it, bro. We did it.
Incredible.
By the way,
also, we're going to go home and we're going to do light as a feather, stiff as a board. And 15 of us are going to hold our friends with our pinkies and lift them into the air because we're celebrating.
It's fun times, Ben. I'm not sure why you're trying to rain on people's parade. It's craziness, bro. They just want to have a little bit of fun.
My bad.
This last story though, you guys, really it freaks me out because this is not random. It's definitely targeted, but it's pretty damn scary. This happened over in Russia. As this conflict goes on between Russia and Ukraine, these types of attacks apparently are being carried out.
This is the chilling moment a suspected female assassin walks into a cafe where a well-known pro-Putin blogger is giving a political speech and hands him a statue of himself. Witnesses in the cafe said that she claimed she was an artist and she wanted to depict the heroes of Putin's special military operation. She is then seen leaving the cafe just in time for the statue to explode, instantly killing the blogger and injuring 32 other people attending the event. It didn't take long before the Russian FSB, who blamed Ukraine for organizing this attack, raided an apartment and arrested the 26-year-old woman. She was arrested once before for attending anti-war protests.
Devastating video as you saw there as what they called a 26-year-old woman, Dara Trapova. She's been arrested after she delivered this statue-esque type of figure to this well-known pro-Putin blogger. And as you saw, it exploded soon after she left. That blogger's name was Vladimir Tatarsky, and it injured 30 other people around him. Crazy enough, he's the only person who died from this blast. Look at this image as she's walking out that they also pointed out the circle around the culprit that walked out, and the man on the far right holding the microphone is the target. I'm not sure if he's holding the statue in that particular moment, but he was holding it before this happened. And it's a devastating blast as they're trying to figure out ways to remedy and fix this. At this point, you know, her target has been hit. And they did arrest her, and they did speak with her, though, about everything that went down. Watch.
Понимаешь, за что задержана?
Понимаю.
За что?
За, я бы сказала, пребывание на месте убийства Владлена Татарского.
Что ты сделала?
Я принесла туда эту статуэтку, которая взорвалась.
А кто тебе передал эту статуэтку?
Можно я попозже?
Still not sure what that answer was, at least from our perspective here, who the folks were who she said gave her that statuette and who then was part of this whole plan to hand it off. I believe also other folks are saying that she didn't realize. We'll get to those details, but also a little bit more about Vladimir Tatarsky, because he had a popular pro-Putin, as we pointed out, Telegram channel with around 500,000 followers. So there goes all that attention around him, and maybe the reasons why they targeted him as he posts in his military garb and also then holding huge guns, again, in support of everything that's going on. A little bit more about Trapova as well, that 26-year-old who delivered it. She's actually Russian. I think some people would assume first that she was Ukrainian, but she's Russian, and she was vocally anti-war, so she's been pretty heavy on things that are going on over in those countries. So these court documents also indicated that she had been detained at a protest on February 24th of last year. That was the same day that Russia sent its forces into Ukraine, and her husband then told the independent investigative outlet, The Insider, that he believed she had been framed and didn't know that statuette was going to then explode. It's crazy stuff, Ben. And these are some of the offshoots, things that happen from these types of conflicts.
I mean, I can't believe that I, for some reason, am smiling at this story, because it is very, sad, obviously, that a man was killed. But sometimes people in other countries just don't have the self-preservation instinct that we do here in our country. You get caught and arrested for killing somebody. Could you try to put up a little bit better of defense for yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know why you're here? Yes, I'm here because I delivered the exploding statue, correct? Yeah, wow, that was a lot easier than we expected. You didn't even say I delivered the statue, but I didn't know there was explode. I thought there was cake in it or a little miniature stripper. No, I didn't know the statue was exploding. Who made you do it? Anybody else put you up to it? That I'm not comfortable sharing. I'll take all the blame myself. No problem. What?
That was actually the craziest part when they asked her what, and I was like, oh, maybe she's gonna hide something, and she goes, I'll tell you later. When the cameras are off, if I get a sandwich, I'm not sure what the parameters are.
The answer to who put me up to it is inside this other statue. Just open it up. I have to go bathroom. Can you excuse me, please?
Bro, the violence is. We're gonna keep it down. The violence is definitely spreading, and things like this continue to go down. I'm pretty sure she's going down next. They've already got her, and they saw all this footage and everything that went with it, of course, especially when it comes to a pro-Putin blogger. What a note to end on. Thanks, you guys. Thank you, Ben, actually, for joining me on this crazy Tuesday. The news is just a little bit everywhere.
My pleasure, JR. I just got to make sure I get off air soon so I can take this statue that was just dropped off in my house and put it back outside just in case.
There might be some ducks that are waiting for it, just saying.
Let's pray.
Inside. Thank you guys for joining me as well. Time's up. Up next is the Young Turks, Anna Kasparian. Emma Vigeland, I believe, joins you guys today. Happy Tuesday. We'll catch you guys on Big News Wednesday tomorrow.